Morning. Happy Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. I'm excited to bring another real estate tactical training with one of my business partners, Brent Silverbauer, one of the best digital marketers all of California and real estate multifamily agent in Northern California. And we're going to be talking about all things real estate and tactical training. Hey, we're on a journey together, Brent, and we got to share the journey, and also we got to sharpen our skills. This is why we're here. How are we doing this morning? Happy day after Labor Day.
Yeah, doing great. And I'm excited to be here today.
Well, let's start with this. What is the definition of momentum, and what's the important thing to understand about momentum? Go, Brent.
Okay. Yeah. Momentum is greater than the sum total of all your skills, your systems, everything. And it's when you progressively gain small wins over time. It builds this momentum that is very powerful.
Absolutely. The way that I've heard it put, it's greater than the sum of all of your strategy, all of our strategy, all of our leadership, and all of our resources combined.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to create and sustain momentum. Tony Robbins says as well that the team that's going to win are those that can create and sustain momentum, create it the fastest and sustain it. When we're creating momentum, it's ignited by vision is number one. You have to understand it's ignited by vision. Number two, what's the second step of creating and sustaining momentum?
Sustained by systems.
That's step number three, right?
Developed by grit.
That's number four.
Vision.
So vision is number one. Number two is faith, right? It's the belief that you can achieve the outcome you're looking to achieve, right? So what is that internal belief of where you're at, where your business is at, what the mission is? It's all centered around the mindset and the belief. The belief is so key. So it's ignited by the vision, and then it's like propelled by like the faith, right? And the number three, it's sustained by systems, Brent. Mm-hmm. Sustained by systems. So what's one of the selling systems that you put in place for your digital marketing to make sure that when you deliver on a property tour, on a video vlog tour, what is it that's helping you to sustain that momentum with all of your digital marketing?
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to have systems for as things go so that you're not constantly hands-on, so that you can delegate it out. So, I mean, for me personally, with my video marketing, I have a whole video library of tutorials on how to do these videos, how to create these websites, how to do these offering memorandums. All that stuff is systematized so that when we get a listing, I can hand it over and say, let's go from 0 to 100, in a week or so. And people know what to do. People know where they're supposed to be. People know when it's supposed to be done, and everything else.
That is perfect definition of a system. It's the who, what, when, and how, right? That is the system. And if you haven't written that down, if you haven't created the video tutorials, if you don't have an assistant doing that, guess what? You are the system. It's all in your brain. Mm-hmm. And we don't have like a standard operating procedure. McDonald's, guess what? A lot of people can make hamburgers back in the day, but what was really smart about even just the McDonald's guys who created it, they created the system for the burger. And then, of course, Ray Kroc came around. He created a system for the business, right? System for buying the real estate, for building the real estate, building, scaling that to a worldwide part. So the question is, are you the system today, right? Or are you building leaders and hiring outside of just yourself, right? So that the system can be autonomous, essentially. We're talking about AI here. It can be outside of you, because if you are the system, it's going to be difficult to sustain that momentum. Because guess what? If you're the leader of your company, you're the one who's casting vision. Mm-hmm. You're the one you've got to be believing and having faith, right? If you're having to run all the systems yourself, it's like juggling three balls in the air, right? And then the fourth one is the grit, right? That's like the emotional fortitude just to keep pushing forward. But you can quickly lose momentum, right? When we're having to do all four, we don't have that support and that help. So Brent, what are you doing today to automate, whether it be ChatGPT, whether it be virtual assistants, whether it be adding team members? What are you doing today to build upon your systems?
That's a good question. It's something that we always need to be looking at. So I do have a VA, and I have implemented a number of different systems. Just, I'm a kind of guy, I have a new idea every other day, cash flow calculator website, or, a prospecting system or whatever. And so, I mean, generally I just put it down, write it out, I give it to a VA to make sure that there's a system in place. If I need to do a video tutorial, I do a video tutorial that goes into a library titled correctly in a folder for this certain task so that she could refer back to it if she has to do that thing in a year. So that's something. I mean, I just did a small subdivision, and I did the due diligence, and we need to call PG&E, we need to call Cal Water, we need to call all these utilities, we need to figure out where all these things are. It was new to me, but you just start making the notes. If I ever do a subdivision again, here's the steps to take. So
Yes.
just write.
So it sounds like it's like documenting the journey, right?
Yeah.
It's creating the video tutorials, it's organizing the notes, and it's having a step-by-step guide, if you will, of how to do it. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to hear about one of my systems I recently started to implement even more?
I'd love to.
So we were using Skype a lot with my virtual assistants, and we used to use Slack, and then Slack ran out of space, and then we found out a thing called Google Chat, but it's more like Google Spaces, where it can attach to your email, and you can create these subfolders with attachments, and it's actually synced in with your email, which is really cool, where I can click spaces and I can have these little categories. It's kind of like a built-in Slack, and it's totally free, by the way. Well, if you have a Google business account, I think it's, it may or may not be free if you don't have a business account, but we have a business account. So it's neat because instead of having to search through emails or what was that, like I can have these top 10 spaces, we call them. And these spaces are great because you can tag the person, right? Tag the person. You can add the attachment. Instead of having to go through the emails, right, and do all the things, you go into the spaces, and then you can essentially streamline and save time and energy when it comes to getting these tasks done. So that is one system we put into place. The other thing I found about systems too, Brent, is the ability to delegate is so important, right? The ability to delegate. And so one thing I would encourage everybody, if you're having a virtual assistant, is you're doing the same thing every day, probably, or at least a lot of the same things every day. So of course, record yourself doing the thing, but record yourself doing the thing with the person over your shoulder. So think of it more like an absorption than a teaching. I used to think when I hired my virtual assistants, I had to teach them. Like I had to sit there for a PowerPoint presentation, like our traditional education system. Okay, for the next hour, I'm going to be teaching you this thing. I want you to watch as I teach on this PowerPoint or on this screen share. And one, it quickly drained my energy. Two, I'm an efficiency, I guess. I'm very sensitive about wasting time. Let's put it that way. I hate wasting time, right? And so I was like, I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm wasting my energy. I'm losing momentum, right? And so I said, you know what? Forget this. You're just going to sit on my shoulder, Zoom shoulder. It's a virtual shoulder, right? And literally watch what I do every day for the next, every day for the next 30 days. 8 hours a day. And it might be pretty monotonous. It might be pretty, whatever you call it. But essentially, I want you to become like an apprentice of my time and my energy, and what I'm spending my time and energy on. I want you to absorb. And then I want you to record, and I want you to create like an SOP. Now, at first I was pretty rigid, like, okay, I want it done this way because this is the way I think. But I quickly realized, like, hey, if you have a better way to do this and get the same outcome or a better outcome that fits how you do things, then great. But here's the thing. I want you to absorb what I'm doing. I want you to record as I'm doing it. And then I want you to write an SOP, standard operating procedure. And essentially our goal is just to get 1% off of my plate per month, 1% of the repetitive daily admin, DocuSign, underwriting, research. It could be social media, it could be Canva, it could be AI, it could be templates, it could be funnels, it could be really anything that I'm doing. And if I can take it off, you can take it off my plate. It's more than it's more than worth all of that, painful 8 hours you watching me over my shoulder. Brent, any thoughts on that?
No, that's great. It's powerful.
Okay, so systems is going to help you sustain momentum, right? And it's going to help you save energy. It's going to help you get time and your energy back. But I think the big thing too, it's going to make an impact for you and your family, right? 5 kids. I'm married 14 years now. In fact, as of today, Happy anniversary, Melanie, for watching this. Love you. 14
Wow.
years today. Yeah, so incredible.
Nice.
Thanks. But the point is we're doing this thing called 1,000 days in 100 different locations. And our goal is to get 1,000 days with our children before they're 18 in 100 unique locations. And extraordinary days is a good way to put it. Extraordinary, something that's just, outside of the day-to-day stuff. And just being very intentional about our time and our energy with our kids, making these memories. And so as a part of that, without a team, this would not be possible because we are closing deals all the time, constantly creating videos, content, organizing podcasts, and without the team behind the scenes to run the systems, I would be 24/7 working, or just all of it piling up. And so we're able to travel, we're able to have some time and energy, location freedom, because of the hard work of finding, retaining talent, and building leaders to build systems. Brent, any thoughts on that, on how it can make an impact for people's lives that are listening to this, that are real estate agents, that are business professionals, that are just going overwhelmed with, work and energy that's going towards that?
So vitally important. Just like with real estate investment, you need leverage, right? And it's just leveraging your time. We know about leveraging our money by borrowing other people's money and paying for other people's money. But paying for other people's time to give you more time, I think, is the true freedom. Is time, financial, and location freedom. I mean, that's what truly is wealth. Is really, it's all linked to freedom, and the systems give you the freedom to not be a total slave to your business.
And you know what that opens up to? It opens up the ability to make impact, right? Which I think is the ultimate opportunity. And impact is basically creating opportunities and or giving to causes that unlock freedom for others, right? So what are those causes that you believe in that's going to make an impact and a difference in the world, that's going to open up freedom? But until you have that time, until you have that financial, until you have that location freedom, the impact is going to be limited, right? It doesn't mean you can't make an impact, doesn't mean, but it's not going to be leveraged. I feel like those three unlock a lever that unlocks a huge amount of impact you can make for others, for your community, for your team. You to pour back your highest and best energy back into those things. You can also be unlocking, hobbies, unlocking, I still love to play basketball, right? And I try to play as much as I can and have that energy to and the time to be able to do those things. That's the best part of being an entrepreneur, right? Time with the family, time to be able to do things that bring you joy. And so this is why, as entrepreneurs who have great vision, who work really hard, who are great at what they do, we've got to constantly remind ourselves to delegate, to create the systems, to build the leaders. That is how you get tactical, and that's how you get leverage. That's how you make a bigger impact. Brent, any thoughts on that?
No, it's just excellent. I love it. I love what we're talking about. I love this being top of mind.
And and that's another thing too, right? I'm learning, right? It's not only access to information. We have access to information. We have access to ChatGPT. We have access to YouTube channels. A lot of information's out there, but it's really access to the people that and the things that they're doing that you want to move towards, right? Access to the people, and as well as accountability with those things you're trying to do. And so if you're not running with people who are running at a similar pace or faster, you're probably going to be holding back your highest and best potential, right? As well, if those people are holding you accountable and encouraging you every single week to be the best and to make a big impact, that's also going to be tough to sustain momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is part of what we're doing, Brent, is trying to get people access to one another right now. But also, if you're listening online, we would encourage you to go to expmastery.com, capitalgainstaxless.com, go to our YouTube channels, check them out, access to us as well. If you're looking to join a new team that gives you access to amazing leadership, amazing skill sets, and is going to run with you and hold you accountable to helping you to perform at the highest and best level. That's what we're about here. Brent, let's talk about some momentum you recently got on this new listing. Let's talk about this opportunity if it's available yet. And we may not be able to share all the details, but just high level walk through people, because we're performing at a high level, but it doesn't mean that we're not every single day in the grind, trying to win more deals, trying to help more people. So talk about what the deal and what's going on with it.
Yeah. So it's a large, no, medium-sized multifamily, 40 units and up, right? Locally in my town, and went up against another agent. And I think the way momentum helped me is I just got another 44 unit property not too far away. That's new, luxurious, worth twice as much. This is a deferred maintenance, but showing them all the marketing that I did for that, and all the marketing that I did the one before that, and all the guys that have helped invest and buy in real estate, sharing the stories, I could feel that momentum that I think was powerful. And so even though this 44 unit is $11 million asset, I couldn't sell it. We got into escrow, it fell out and the rates went up. But still, all the marketing and all the stuff that I did on it, I was able to show them to that and say, hey, look I'm going to do the same thing for you. And it was worth twice as much as theirs. I think because of that, they're like, okay, this guy, I trust him. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So it sounds like you shared the story, you shared the data,
Yeah.
you demonstrated the marketing, right? You laid it all out. And with that, that helped to build that momentum, right? It didn't feel like you were selling. It sounds like, and it feels like you're really sharing a vision, right? Of what could be for the marketing of their asset and what the outcome could be. Is that a fair summary?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's key. That's key. And so then as you're building that momentum, right, and you knew you were competing, was there a transition where you said, okay, I've built enough know, like, and trust. I've built enough expertise here now. Was there a moment where you said, all right, I'm going to ask for the business? If so, how did that go?
Yeah, I think it was super good. So we go through the process all the time here. The first phone call is to get the meeting, and that's what I did. Hey, you know what? It's not to have the meeting. Let's schedule time. And then let me get on the property. Let me take some videos. I also did some videos on the property. These guys live in Colorado. 4 heirs inherited this. It's out of state. They get a stepped up basis. There's a lot of incentive for them to sell. Did the videos. I showed them all the deferred maintenance, and they were shocked by how bad the property was. And then I sent them the numbers before our meeting. Hey, look at here's, but once I got to that meeting, I had probably 3 different presentations. One's on marketing, one's on evaluating the rental market, one's on, sale comps and other things like that. And then one was your options, 3 options. And I think as it came to the 3 options, you could hold this, you could rehab it yourself, or you can sell it immediately as is. And I did the pros and cons of each one. And I said, here's where it is. And I think by the time I got there, they had built enough trust in me, and they saw my track record, and they saw the other things that led to this. This is not my first rodeo. That's all a momentous, and then when I get this listing, I'm going to market it. And guess what? Buyers are going to call. Other people are going to see the marketing. Other people it's going to create more conversations. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, it was, it took some faith, and then, I asked for the sale. I said, assuming we could agree on price and terms, is there any reason that you wouldn't exclusively use me to list and sell the property? And I just love that question. And then he said, no, everything's excellent. Had a really good meeting. And I asked a lot of questions. I listened, just, mirroring and labeling and all the things that we train in here to get the information, to see what's important, to see what their situation is, so I could suggest the right path forward, and which was to sell as is immediately.
Yeah, it feels like you're a real pro, right? You handle it like a pro.
I don't know. I'm still growing.
You're still growing, but you handle it like a pro. I mean, you were transparent with the reality of the situation. Like, there's some serious deferred maintenance, and it wasn't just you just saying it. It was you demonstrating on the property with video on site, showing that you're doing your due diligence, and you're being really, upfront with them. Like, this is the reality as well. You gave them 3 options, right? You didn't just pigeonhole them to say, this is what you must do, or I think you should do, or you do it after some options, right? You said, here's some options, and here are some pros and cons to all of those options. And you can hold, you can rehab, you can sell as is, and pros and cons to all of those. And you also mentioned the tax flow implications, right? It wasn't just about cash flow. It was about tax flow, and the ability to have a stepped up basis is a beautiful thing, because you can get all of your powder dry, you can get it liquid, You're tax-free at that point because you're basically selling for the same price that the property has been assessed at, right? If you're selling within the period of, let's say 60, 90 days or even a year when you sold it, it's probably close to the same price. So there's really no tax implications there. That's great. No 1031 exchange required. It's still the best thing that you can get as a stepped up basis. It's amazing. Okay. So you're outside. So you were like a real estate investment advisor. You weren't just a real estate agent helping someone to sell an asset. As well, you conditionally close, right? Assume you can agree on price and terms. Is there any reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property with you? And this is the moment of going from amateur to pro. A lot of amateurs, right? And when I was an amateur, I was either afraid to ask the question. I wasn't sure how it would be received. I was just trying to get those listings, trying to keep my business alive. And it was scary, right? To ask that question. But you go pro when you ask for that commitment, assuming we can agree on price and terms. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't exclusively list the property with me? This gives them an opportunity to think, gives them an opportunity to bring up an objection, or gives them an opportunity to say, no, everything that I've seen so far, I feel like you're a great fit. So Brent, at that point, did you pull out the listing agreement? Did you go home and fill that out? What did it look like for actually execution of the listing agreement?
We talked about fees. He says, what's your fee? And I just said, hey, I'm a 6%. If I bring a buyer, it's going to be 5. We'll give you a discount there. And, just saying, I helped a guy get an 80 unit an hour away. He's done with his rehab. He finished 9 months ago. He's looking for his next property. I can call him up. I have another guy over here. He's done with his 30 units. I just talked about the people I have in my database, people I know personally, people I helped get into deals that now are looking for the next rehab project. And, so, they had to go back and talk to all the heirs. And when they did that, they chose me. So thank God,
Congratulations. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to when it officially hits the market. We're going to come back here. We're going to highlight that deal. And in fact, I think we're even going to share your digital marketing expertise as you're putting a masterful video together again, as you always do, and encourage some people to glean the wisdom and the expertise of the Brent Silverbauer. I love Brent. That being said, Brent, we're out of time here. We're at the top of the bottom of the hour. People want to find you. Where can they find you? Go.
All right. So find me. You can Google search Brent Silverbauer on YouTube. Living in Chico, California, or BrentSellsChico.com would be good. And that's it.
Fantastic. And if people want to get in touch with me, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's the main spot. You can also go to expmastery.com. We're growing nationally. All of the multifamily brokers in every single state. We just added 2 more for Marcus and Millichap in Colorado. We have a mobile home park specialist for Marcus and Millichap on our EXP Mastery family team. And we want to encourage you right now, if you're looking and considering EXP or joining a team that can help you grow your business in a way that provides, we believe, next level type of expertise and next level type of service and outcomes for clients, go to expmastery.com or just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Find me on Instagram, Brett Swartz, on my YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone watching this. And we'll be back next week and we'll talk to you again soon.